Hi everyone, I'm Mark Hayton. Welcome to the FLT. I've been working with leaders in teams for about 15 years. I've done so in corporate sectors with entrepreneurs and startups, and I've also done a great deal of coaching, helping people kind of get started with their lives in Finland. I am a great admirer of Finland's leaders and a lot of the leadership philosophy that comes from this part of the world. It's really inspiring, and I hope through the course of this podcast we get to dig a little bit deeper and show everybody that there's a more sensible, pragmatic, and effective way to be a leader these days, and that we've got something that other podcasts don't. Enjoy the show.
Hello, world. I'm Kelly Kiadara, number 5 in this fierce Fab 5, and I'm so happy to be a part of this team. Around here, I'm the go-to for all things communications and engagement, and I occasionally hop on the mic as a host too. Outside the studio, I wear a few hats. I've worked in communications across industries, from startups to defense, nonprofits, telecom, climate finance, and now space. And I'm also a mother to a wildly spirited preteen who keeps life interesting. I'm very passionate about leadership because it lives in all of us, regardless of background, title, or age. I believe that leadership isn't just about a role, it's about the mindset, it's about showing up. And I'm so here for it. Thank you for listening.
Remember that people data is also relevant business data. It's not different or separate. Use it for business decisions. Even though we Finns, we think we are, and we pride ourselves to be like an engineering nation. We are already data-driven, or we like to believe so, and we are objective and everything like that. But when we think about leading people, a lot of our leaders and directors and managers are very experienced, and they may have the idea that I already know.
Okay, here we are again for another installment of our FLT Game Changers series. Today we are joined by Jaana Saramies. Jaana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you.
That's good. It's great to have you. This is probably the last hellepäivä that we'll have here in Finland. So for the non-Finns, that's the last really hot sunny day before it leaves us for the year. But for today, what we wanted to do was really kind of dive into one of the stereotypes that usually sits around Finnish leaders. So compared to other cultures, Finnish leaders have a reputation for being really data-centric and really objective, right? They pride themselves on being unemotional and being pragmatic. And Jaana's work is in particular to do with analytics and data and understanding people. And in this area, I think we can have some pretty interesting discoveries about exactly how objective Finnish leaders are. But Jaana, don't let me introduce you to the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been working with people analytics for about almost 9 years now. My past is actually in financial controlling, and I felt that something is lacking when we are staring at the financial numbers. And then when I got to thinking, what is this thing that's lacking? I noticed it's people. We talk a lot about people. We say they're our greatest asset, but does it show what our leaders there in the data? And I don't think it does. So that's why I got interested in people analytics, and I'm now working as an entrepreneur, spreading the word in Finland. What's people analytics? What can you do with it? What kind of problems can you solve with it? And it's not just about people problems in organizations. It's actual business problems and business decisions that you can do. And that's my passion.
Wow, I can really relate. So I'm also in the finance sector, and what I do is I'm in communications, and a lot of what I do is turn numbers into stories.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to hear about what this people analytics is about. How does it really, what is the process, and what do you do with people analytics? What is it about, and how do you help leaders use that data?
I think it's primarily about understanding the business problems. It can be your line manager, or it can be like the top leadership team. But what is the problem that, keeps them up at night? And then try to find different ways, because we have a lot of data on our employees, on our own people, but we use it for very simple HR metrics. And it's not just because leaders think so. It's also because most HR professionals aren't in the profession to deal with data and to do analytics. So there's a gap. HR doesn't know how to push different initiatives to do people analytics. And also leaders and managers don't always have any kind of examples or ideas. What could we do with this? So I'm trying to close that gap and help find different ideas to move forward.
Very important work.
How much data does like the average employee for a company kind of have? Like that's so, I mean, it's an interesting area, right? Where I think very few people will sort of appreciate the scale of the opportunity and the possibilities. But if you're an employee for a company, do you have, like, is there lots of data that the company has? Like,
I think there is. HR is, well, big data is like an outdated word, but I think HR has that in many cases. You just don't see it because it's in different kind of slices. You have your HR system where you have all the basic data on your employees and where they come from, what's their education, how old they are, what they do. And then you have different kind of like performance management. You have your payroll. It comes and it explodes every month. So you have plenty of that, but you don't even use that to do different type of analysis. And then you have all the events that occur during your career. You take time off, you have sick days, maybe you progress, get more education. And there's plenty to do with all that kind of data. And it's already typically quite often restored in the organization, but you just don't do anything with it. Maybe you follow something very basic metrics like how many hours of training do our employees get on average in a year. But what can you do with that? There's not a lot that you can decide based on that information. But if you chop it up a little bit and analyze it and compare it with some other data, then you can get some interesting insights.
So do you have like any examples of interesting insights that have come up in some projects that you've run?
Well, we have a few interesting examples in our book. It's unfortunately only in Finnish, but it's on people analytics. One example that I like to share with different type of leaders because it truly broadens their mind is that in one company in Finland, it was in retail business. And when they combined people data with their sales data, they actually could get a far better and more accurate sales forecast than they could do with the sales data alone. And I think that's a really great example to show what the power of people data can do. But it's not something that, for example, the sales director necessarily would have thought of to ask for.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, logically as well, if you think through it, if I try to open it up, the people inside the company obviously know a lot and how they behave a lot basically dictates how well your business does. So if they're showing up on time, if they're not sick, if they're happy or not stressed or not burned out, their performance will generally be better, right? In those kind of areas. So yeah, I can actually see, I hadn't thought about it in that sense before, but of course the way your employees work and the way they approach work and the skills and the education and the background that they have all kind of contribute towards how productive they are or not necessarily productive, but how effective they are with customers, with product development, with, managing budgets and all that other stuff.
Yeah. And then it also comes to, you can find from the people data the seniority of the different type of employees and even the different type of employee contracts that you have. And they may have a really big impact on how they serve and how well they are equipped to serve customers. For example, do additional sales. If you are new in the business or you just come around and do like a one shift per month, then you don't have the experience to kind of, sense out what's this customer or different things needing. So that's something that you can take into account and analyze the data. And then you can use your already existing workforce better and more versatile and then train them also.
Yeah, of course, to build better outcomes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the gap, right? So I think a lot of HRs don't feel like they're comfortable with data and numbers, and the leaders, in a sense, often don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
In your experience, are leaders in Finland open to the idea of using people data? Do they kind of join the dots?
I think it requires kind of curiosity that's not necessarily inherently there. Because even though we Finns, we think we are, and we pride ourselves to be, like you said, like an engineering nation. We are already data-driven, or we like to believe so, and we are objective and everything like that. But when we think about leading people, a lot of our leaders and directors and managers are very experienced, and they may have the idea that I already know. I know what's good for my team. I know what's good for my people. I know how to get the best results from my employees. I don't need any additional data. That may be the idea. And then you may not have the openness to different type of people analytics results, which may sometimes surprise you, and they may contradict what you have thought that is the right action to take. And that's what requires the curiosity and maybe also psychological safety, that you are open to the results and then take them seriously and act on them also.
This work that you do is super important. So you mentioned that there can be some resistance to it. So how do you work with leaders who are resistant to this change that is so important to help them evolve their business?
I just try to open their minds, because I think it's not resistance necessarily. It's just, I don't like the word ignorance, but I can't think of a better one right now.
Yeah.
Not knowing enough, not being aware
You don't know
enough.
what you don't know.
Yeah, that's it. So I like to, give some insights into what could be done. What could you know more about? And then when you tickle that curiosity and that interest peaks, and then if you have some cases that you can prove, like here we did that and it worked, then you can get some kind of buy-in and maybe we could try it out also in our company.
But it is tricky, right? Because a lot of the leaders that I know, if you have a proposal or an opportunity, something for them to kind of investigate a little bit further, the first thing they do is ask 2 or 3 people that they think are close to the issue. And in 9 times out of 10, that's going to be asking a HR person, like, hey, hey, what do you think about this analytics stuff? Do you think it can really connect to the data? How do you work with HRs? Because surely, I think, isn't that the first kind of like the first sort of defense point for executives that are a little bit hesitant? Because you need kind of like HRs to already be familiar with the cases and the language.
Yeah. So I think I approach them kind of in the same way. And there is already a lot of, should I say, thirst among various different HR professionals in Finland, that they want to know more. What could people analytics do for me and do for us as a company? So there is the hunger for it. But then it's kind of a difficult subject to approach if you don't know where to begin. And if you usually begin with different type of, okay, so this is about HR systems, we need a new system. And then I'm the one who says, no, it's not about technology.
Yeah.
It's about what you do with the things that you already have, because you already have the data. So you don't necessarily need the fanciest, newest, latest HR system. You just need the abilities to handle the data.
Yeah. The HRs often find it comfortable. Is it a comfortable conversation with them? Because if you step back, we all end up in the careers we end up, not in a sense completely by accident, right? So if you're big into data, it's logical that you'll end up in finance, right? As you did, right? So I think many people end up in HR who maybe don't have a comfort with numeracy or with mathematics or calculus or statistics. How do you bring down the apprehension around that subject?
I think, I try to talk in the most common sense way to demystify analytics, that it's not so hard and you don't have to be the statistician or the mathematician or anything like that. You can use different professionals that you already have. Like I had a client last spring, one of the biggest companies in Finland, and they wanted to raise the awareness and the abilities in HR to be more data-driven and also to take that people data to the business. And what they realized was that, we already have, not in HR, but elsewhere in the company, different data analytics professionals. Why we haven't utilized them before? Because when we got them together, they realized that, those analytics professionals already do the type of analysis that could be beneficial for us and with people data that they do with our customer data. So they already had the ability in-house. They just weren't aware. Not in HR, but not also in the data analytics professionals. They were also like, yeah, we already have something here.
Yeah, and that's actually, I hadn't thought about that, but customer service and the customer experience groups, they've gone on a technological journey in the past 5 or 10 years, like really quickly. So, a customer service agent, in terms of their data literacy 5-10 years ago, would have been comparable to your average HR specialist, right? They would have been generally a good personality. They would have been a good account manager. They'd have been empathetic on the phone. They'd have been able to take complaints and try to problem solve as they go. But I know now most customer facing departments are data literate to the hilt because they're on things like Salesforce, right? They're familiar with the funnels and the funnel rates, and their processes are measured and incentivized kind of to the hilt, like on each area. But I think the same is almost certainly not true for HR.
Not yet, not everywhere. But I think the hunger is growing. And especially in the largest companies where you already have different like HR technology teams, there you have the people who can take this forward. It's just about getting the other HR professionals to join.
Yeah.
And there may be some resistance, some hesitance, but it's okay. You can get past that when you take it to their everyday work and how it helps them and how it helps them get their own message across. For example, work well-being is a really big topic in Finland. Well, where isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's something that if you get the HR professional working with employee well-being, when you get him or her to see the benefits of using people data and combining it with, for example, business data, then they have the internal motivation to take it forward and become more data literate and more data driven and use it in their advantage.
Yeah, because I was, when you mentioned particularly like well-being, where my head goes at the minute is remote work, right? So very few people are now in the office in the way they were. If I think again about like 10 years ago, if you're in a HR position and you see somebody rock up to work and they have like bags under their eyes and they're slurring their speech and they're incredibly tired, you would take a minute to go and talk to them, talk to their manager and say, hey, is everything okay in the team? I can see something's quite off. But you won't see that now unless you've got data.
Yeah.
Right. So you won't be like that human interaction that we would have had sort of 5-10 years ago to try and take care of colleagues and make sure everything was going okay. We don't see it now in the day-to-day. We only have, log-on rates and active time and when you've been working on shared documents and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the way HRs should be supporting now has drastically changed.
Yeah. And when you brought up the hybrid work, there's a lot of pondering about what's the right amount of being in the office versus letting people work where they want to work. And that's something people analytics could also help you with. But because it's people data, there are restrictions sometimes what data can be used and how. For example, in one sales team, they wanted to analyze what's the optimal amount of being in the office versus being at home. And then does it depend on how senior you are, how experienced you are? And when they tried to see that, okay, we have like, for example, the tagging data in the office that you know who tags in and who tags out. But they couldn't use it because it wasn't collected for that purpose to analyze. So that's where the regulation comes in, that you can't use everything that you have in the way that you might want to, but then you have to work around it. So they decided to have their line managers, the team leaders, to just have a simple Excel sheet to mark where is everybody today and where they are tomorrow and how's it going. And then you already have something that you can analyze because you have informed the employees that, okay, we're going to collect this and we're going to analyze it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be like super high tech, and
No.
even if there's a privacy concern, there's always a way to work around it. Because I know also a lot of leaders get a bit scared by that sort of stuff.
And HR professionals too. And it's good to be aware. It's good to take caution, but don't let it stop you. It's not the end.
True.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. And I think it comes back to the culture, that you are open. And you also, if you do people analytics, you cannot do it behind closed doors. You have to make employees aware and also give them the incentive that what's the point? Why should I let you use my data for something? How does it benefit me? Because I believe that it does benefit both the organization and the employees.
When you do projects and work like the one you mentioned, do you find that like employees in general are resistant to like analytics type projects or like to data gathering? Because there's really a lot of heavy regulations and rules, which are obviously good.
Yeah.
But do the people themselves really care about it?
People do, and people are more and more aware, and they want to control their own data. But it's good to remember that employers also have different, rights to use their employee data.
That's true.
So there's the balance. And I myself believe in the openness and being transparent, because the more you make transparent, the less it's like mystical to the employees also. And the more clearly you can state what are we doing and why are we doing it for, then I think it hopefully brings down the resistance.
And that's, I mean, for leaders, I think actually that's something I wonder how many would be aware of, right? I think it's called, if I remember correctly from my EU law books, the legitimate interests of the data controller. Right? That's the technical term for what companies are allowed to do with their employees' data. And it is really things like measure performance, and understand attendance, understand truancy, make sure that the job responsibilities have been completed to satisfaction, and make sure that their safety, health, and well-being is maintained at a satisfactory level. Yeah, I think there's. I mean, I don't have the whole the whole law in my head.
You didn't memorize the book,
but I had enough arguments in a former life with privacy officers to know that there is actually a lot that companies are entitled to look at to ensure the well-being of their people, or to ensure that they can maintain a competitive edge. When you talk with leaders, how familiar are they with like what they can and can't do with analytics?
Well, with people analytics in Finland, not very aware. It's quite new, but what I think is really hopeful is that they are intrigued. When I tell them about what this is, they are really intrigued. Oh, we could be doing that. And there's the instant interest into what could we do.
Yeah.
And then it depends on your HR people, that are they on board, and what are their competencies to take it further. Yeah. And I can help with that too.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly. And if you're unsure, there's always someone to reach out to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jaana. This has been very insightful, and it's very, like I said, important work that you're doing. I would like to ask, what is a message that you would like to give leaders when it comes to people analytics?
Well, I thought of one advice that I would like to give, and it's that don't settle for the, sad to say, boring and basic HR reporting, because that's the level Finland is at the moment, and it doesn't really get you that far. If you really want competitive advantage and you really want your organization and your people to excel, take it further. So be curious and remember that people data is also relevant business data. It's not different or separate. Use it for business decisions. So that's my primary advice.
You heard it. Don't be boring.
Don't be boring. Go further. I like it. Jaana, thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a great day. And where can people find you if they want to reach out and get your expert advice?
LinkedIn, I'm there very active. And then also my website, Saratiikka. So you can reach out through there or email jaana@saratikka.fi and I'll get back.
Awesome. We'll put all of that into the show notes in case you need help typing it. But once again, Jaana, thank you very much for your time. It's been great.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.